Hey, what's going on, everybody? Manny here once again. Welcome to DFS Zone, your source for daily fantasy sport lineup advice for the NBA and NFL. I have a brand new video for you, ladies and gentlemen, but before I get started, like always, I appreciate you guys. Drop a like. And if you're new to the channel, first time here, never ever seen any of my NBA lineup advice videos, the only thing you need to do to be a part of the community and get this information to you on a regular basis is to become a subscriber down below. Make sure you put on the bell icon, turn that on. This way you don't miss out on any of my NBA lineup advice videos. With that being said, today is Saturday, December the 29th, 2018. We have an 8-game slate in the association. I apologize for yesterday. I was out with the family pretty much most of the day and was not able to do a video, but I am back today. It was nice to see a couple people reach out to me and ask me if I was going to put one up. So it comes to show that people do appreciate the videos coming out to them on a regular basis. But I'm back here today, so hopefully we could help everybody out and at the same time help myself out. I didn't play a whole lot yesterday, but I did cash a little bit on a few lineups in the after hours. I will be obviously playing and being active today. So let's get right to it. There is some couple injury news that's going to open up some doors for some areas, but as we go through each position, like always, I always give you guys a number of options. You will have at least 18 or more possible plays when it's all said and done. But I'm going to basically tell you whom I like the best going into each position like I normally do. So up at the top, we got Kemba Walker going up against Washington. Obviously a good position for Kemba. 9,900 is a lot of money for me to take Kemba in this particular game. I think he's still in a good matchup. Washington without no John Wall. Before I started the video, I believe I did get a notification that John Wall is out. So that obviously brings Bradley Beal, brings in Satoransky, it brings in a number of things, Ariza, as well as Jeff Green. All those guys get a bump in usage and minutes when John Wall is out, because they got to definitely get more than enough offense other than just from Bradley Beal. But so John Wall out. So, I mean, Kemba Walker is in a good spot again. I am not going to be too high on Kemba, maybe in the 25 cents GPPs, because I usually do about 15 to 20 lineups there on a regular basis. I'll probably throw him in there in one of the lineups, but not as one of the core guys. Steph Curry going up against Portland. They just played the other day. He's not a bad play. He's going into Portland. Then we got Kyrie Irving versus Memphis. I think Kyrie's in a good spot here against Memphis. I think he'll be able to do well against Mike Conley. But the game itself is just going to be, this game is going to be definitely paced down, better defensive teams. So I don't want a whole lot of part of it. If I'm going to like anybody or play anybody in Boston, it more than likely will be Kyrie Irving. But at 9,600, I may pass on him today. Then, of course, Wall being out. I got Damian Lillard, but I'm going to come down to Jamal Murray, 7,400. Kind of like Jamal Murray here. Phoenix has obviously some vulnerability at the point guard spot. And Murray, he is the perfect GPP play. As we all know, he's capable of getting you 20, and he's capable of getting you 40 or 50. So we're hoping for a 50 spot from him today. About a 7,400. He's coming in here, 18 points, 4 rebounds, 5 pretty much assists a game, 32 fantasy points. At 7,400, you need about 37 to meet value. And on DK, he's 6,900. You need about 34. And he is playing on a front end of a back-to-back, and he's done well on back-to-backs. He still has played more than 30 minutes in those back-to-back games, so I'm not concerned so much on the factors that he is playing back-to-back. The minutes are still there. The points are still there. I mean, as you can see, he in 6 out of his last 9 games, he's pretty much has put up 36 fantasy points or better. And, of course, he has smacked in there 250 spot games, which is pretty good during that stretch. We're going to come over to the Fantasy Cruncher. And over here, as you can see, Mr. Murray, nonetheless, 41 and 53 in 2 out of the last 4 games. So we know we could get as bad as a 20 or a 15 from him, and then we could always get maybe 50 or better. So we're hoping for a 50 or better in this spot here. As you can see, last 2 games, usage rate is high, 27 minutes or better. So he's pretty much averaging more than 31 minutes per game, and obviously the usage rate is pretty good. He's normally in that 25-26% range, but as you can see, last 2 games, 33% usage rate. The shots have been incredible, 15 or better, pretty much on average. 19 to 27 over the course of the last 2 games. And if he can get hot from 3, we know it could be very dangerous. That's when he can definitely get us that 45-50 upside that we're looking for. But as you can see, he's been a little off. The last game, 4 of 7, not too bad, but 1 of 8, 1 of 6, 1 of 4 in the previous 3 games. That is definitely a concern. Nonetheless, he's able to get you a little bit balanced out on the rebounds and assists. He could definitely help you out in that area. And he's capable of getting you, as you can see, 5 straight games with at least 1 steal. So we kind of like always to see guards be able to do other things other than just other than scoring. And Jamal Murray will do that here. Last time he played, matter of fact, last time he played against Phoenix, he did put up a 43 spot. That was earlier in the year on October the 20th. Last year, he did put up a 47 spot in one of the 3 games against this team. He's going up against Phoenix. Phoenix is 18th in defending. Actually, Phoenix, yes, they're 18th in defending point guards, and they've been allowing 41 fantasy points per game over the last 5 games to opposing point guards. Westbrook put up 60, DJ Augustin put up 44, and Mr. D'Angelo Russell put up 37 for the Brooklyn Nets. So, yeah, I do like Mr. Murray. We'll put Murray in there as shooting guard. Granted, like I said, some openings here. Obviously, Satoransky's in play. There's a couple interesting guys here. Like, for instance, other than Jamal Murray, if you wanted to come down, Trey Young is in a good spot going up against Cleveland. I mean, Cleveland has been giving up nearly 41 fantasy points per game to opposing point guards as of late. And at 6,600, you only need 32, 33 from him. He is capable of getting you 50, but he's also capable of getting you only 20. So he's almost in the same mold as Jamal Murray. But again, he's at home where he's playing better, and he's playing against Cleveland. Like I said, Cleveland did give up 51 to Winslow just recently. Van Vliet put up 41, and Arcidiacono put up 38. So there is definitely some room for Trey Young to do well here against Cleveland. So at 6,600, he is someone you can consider if you want to pay down. Emmanuel Mudiay going up against Utah with no Ricky Rubio. Dante Exum is a pretty good defender, but Emmanuel Mudiay, a little bit bigger, stronger, could be a possible play there. So definitely keep that in mind. Utah's coming in here giving up 33.4 fantasy points per game. Again, that's with Ricky Rubio mostly as the point guard defending against the opposing point guards. They dig up 52 to Simmons, 34 to Lillard, and 39 to Westbrook as of late. So there is obviously an opportunity there for Mudiay. Then you come down, if you wanted to really save some money, I do like either one of White or Forbes in this game against the Clippers. Clippers have been vulnerable, giving up 40 fantasy points per game to opposing point guards as of late. And at 4,800 and 4,700, either one of the two would not be a bad play here. They gave a 33 to Ball, 43 to Fox, 55 to Mr. Curry, and 52 to Mr. Doncic. So, yeah, there's definitely some issues there with the Clippers in guarding point guards. Granted, these guys are not Fox or Curry or Doncic, but if they can get you with the amount of minutes that Forbes has been playing and as well as Derek White, either one of the two is capable of at least meeting value and exceeding it. So definitely think those guys are in consideration. And if, like I said, Mr. Satoransky is in play, obviously with Wall out, he's going to start. So he'll be getting some minutes there as well. So definitely keep that in mind. All right, let's go over to shooting guard. As shooting guard, obviously, for me, I'm either paying up for Harden or I'm paying up for Davis or for both. I'm going to try to get them in the quarter games. I'm going to definitely get them in there both together, but I will also make some lineups with only just Harden or with Davis. I think if I'm going to favor any one of the two, you got to go with James Harden, even though he's on the road, because he's had at least 1 day's rest. Anthony Davis just played last night, played over 40 minutes or about 40 minutes, so that's a big, long game for him, so he may be a little tired on the front end of the back-to-back. So I will probably favor paying up for Harden. So Harden is in play for me. I'm not going to put him here as a core, but he is definitely someone that I'm going to definitely consider. No Chris Paul. You got to obviously have some exposure to James Harden. So he will be someone that I will have in my lineups. I do like Devin Booker in this matchup, but I don't like that price too much at 9,500. I think that he can do some damage here as the shooting guard over Denver. But again, tough matchup for him, and that's especially at that price. I'm going to come down to Bradley Beal. I got to take advantage of Bradley Beal at this price point, and knowing that there's no Wall and this man is going to have to put up some serious numbers. Now, again, he is on the front end of a back-to-back. He played 37 minutes last night, but he has been in a few back-to-backs, and the minutes have not changed much at all. If we look here closely to see the last time he played a back-to-back was here. He played 33 and 44 minutes, and he did it also. He's only done it once, and that both times he played more than enough minutes. So I don't see it being a factor. They need somebody to score some points, so he's critical to their success. 24 points, pretty much 5 rebounds, 5 assists, 40 fantasy points per game. 8,400 is what you need from him. $8,400 is his price tag. You need 42 to meet value. On DK, he's 7,900, so you pretty much need 39 there, which is really around his ballpark. So I definitely think that it's not going to be a factor at all. 7 out of his last 8 games, he's been pretty much averaging 37 plus fantasy points per game. So that is definitely at least encouraging to know that he's been consistent enough. So for you cash game players, he may be someone to consider, especially with the amount of minutes he's going to get. But I definitely like him as a GPP play, especially at $8,400 with that 50-plus upside. But he's coming in here. Minutes are good, man. Minutes have been great. 38 and 45 in the last 2 games. Obviously, 9 out of his last 10 games, pretty much about 38, 39 minutes per game. So he's going to get that and then some today. On top of that, his usage rate is going to be through the roof. He's pretty much averaging about 24, 25% on average, but has been as high as 26 and even as high as 39. He's taking more than enough shots last 2 games, 23 and 27 respectively, and he's taking about maybe 18, 19 a game, maybe as much as 20 a game on average, and he's capable of hitting some threes. He's been a little off, 4 of 10, 1 of 7, 1 of 6, 4 of 12. Been really bad the last 4 games, but as you can see, he's going to take some shots from there, and you're looking at about maybe 6 or 7 on average. Not a bad free throw shooter. Is pretty good from the free throw line. If he can get there to the line, he can rebound and give you some assists, and of course, he brings some defense. He gets you some steals. He's had 4 steals in the last 2 games and 2 blocks, so he's capable of getting you some blocks as well. Definitely like him here a whole lot. He's been up against Charlotte, and he put up a 34 and 51 spot last year, pretty much over 31, 32 fantasy points per game in those 4 games last year. Totally different scenario when he is the one that that's got to be the go-to guy. So I definitely like him here. Charlotte 21st in defending shooting guards, allowing only 18 fantasy points per game. They've been rock solid. Jeremy Lamb has been fantastic defending shooting guards, but and there's always a but there, because I always tell you guys that you always got to dig in deeper and look at whom they have played when you have 18 or 19 fantasy points per game. I mean, either are you shutting down some really key top-tier shooting guards, or you basically are playing some, mid-tier or low-tier shooting guards. But they haven't faced anybody real good. The last person they faced that is considered at least a top-tier shooting guard was Donovan Mitchell, and that was back on November 30th. So more than 15, 14 games ago, and Donovan Mitchell put a 46 on them. So again, tough matchup for Charlotte going up against Beal, and knowing that they haven't faced somebody like him in a long while. And I'm going to put him on here on the screen. Other than Bradley Beal, there are a couple other guys that you can consider. Like I said, I do plan to have exposure to Harden. I do think I'm going to sprinkle a little bit of Booker in some matchups, especially in the quarter GPPs. But if you're coming down here, you got to consider at shooting guard, other than Beal, I think Jordan Clarkson going up against Atlanta is not a bad possible play, as well as Lou Will. I kind of like these 2 guys here smacked in that 6,000, 6,200 range. So Lou Will, Lou Will going up against San Antonio. They're giving up about 26 fantasy points per game. They did give up to Mr. Craig 28, Mr. Gordon 30 in the last 2. And they also gave up 42 to Mr. Dunn not so long ago. Then you look at over here the Jordan Clarkson situation. Atlanta's given up 28 fantasy points per game to opposing shooting guards as of late. He's only needs 30. They did give up 35 to Wiggins, 35 to Oladipo, 27 to Hardaway, and 47 to Beal over the course of the last 4 games. And the amount of minutes he's playing 30 plus right now. Not a bad situation. You can also consider here C.J. McCollum versus Golden State. They just played not so long ago. Golden State's given up nearly 31 fantasy points per game. They gave up 37 to McCollum in the last meeting. At 6,300, you need pretty much 31, 32. So he can definitely at least meet value. He could possibly crush it. He's capable of getting you 40 or better. They did give up 37 to Mitchell and 35 to Mr. Hield not so long ago. So those are 2 guys you can consider other than Harden, Beal, and maybe Mr. Booker. Those are the guys I like. Down in the bottom tier, you can always consider Burks or Mr. Iguodala against Portland. And I would say keep your eye out on Kyle Korver versus the New York Knicks. Knicks are a little vulnerable to the 3, so he may be someone to consider. Let's go over to small forward. At small forward, you got Kevin Durant at the top. I don't think I'm going to pay up for Kevin Durant today, because I'd rather pay down just a little bit at small forward and be able to pay up for Mr. Anthony Davis or James Harden. I prefer James Harden due to the fact that he's had rest. So, but I will have exposure to AD. But a small forward, Kevin Durant, I mean, I probably would say I will sprinkle him in one lineup or two in the 25 GB, but not in a core play. So Kevin Durant, probably will bypass him. I do like Danilo Gallinari here versus San Antonio. And I do like TJ Warren as well. But I'm going to come down and save you guys a little bit. I do like the matchup for Joe Ingles with no Jay Crowder in this game. Joe Ingles is going to get a bump in minutes and in usage. He's already getting 29 to 30. As much as 32 minutes over the last couple of games, but with no Crowder on there, he's going to definitely have to take a little bit more workload. He's coming in here 12 points, pretty much 4 rebounds, 5 assists, 27 fantasy points per game at 6,300. You pretty much need 31, 32 from him to meet value there, and he's only 5,300 on DK. So you only need 27 there, and he's pretty much averaging 27. And I think you see 29 plus over the last 5 games. As far as fantasy points are concerned, let's come and look at him here in the cruncher a little bit closer. And Mr. Joe Ingles, as you can see, 3 games here, pretty much at 33 plus. Has been at 30 or better for 4 out of the last 5. The minutes are there, 28 plus over the last 4. His usage rate is there at 17, 18% on average. It's going to get a little bit of a bump today. And then the shots are probably going to go up a little bit more today. He's averaging about 10, 11 shots pretty much per game and about 5 to 6 threes on average. And if he gets hot there and he can at least nail down 40, 45% of his shots from the floor, he's going to be absolutely a great deal here for you guys today. He can rebound a little bit, gives you some assists, and he's capable of getting you some steals. He's got 2 in the last game, three games back. So he's had 5 steals over the course of 3 games. And, again, it's just a matter of everything is in play. Now, the other thing also that I like about it is that he's at home. And we all know that Utah usually plays well at home, but this man plays absolutely a lot better at home. He's averaging 46% field goal percentage at home and 43% from 3, averaging 14 points and 31 fantasy points per game. So he's definitely right there in his wheelhouse going up against the Knicks. The Knicks are coming in here 18th in defending small forwards and giving up, as of late, 34.8, pretty much 35 fantasy points per game to opposing small forwards. They did give up 37 to Mr. Middleton recently, 67 to Giannis the game before that, and 41 to John Collins not so long ago. So, again, I do like Joe Ingles here. So we're going to pencil him in there. And, of course, there's a couple other plays here at small forward that I like. Obviously, like I said, I do like Gallinari. You can consider here as well either one of the two, Ariza or Green. I think either one of the two are fine. Ariza's coming in here 6,100, 5,400 on DK, averaging 27 fantasy points per game. He's been at 7 out of his last 9 games. He's at 26 plus. He has 50-point upside. Again, I love the matchup here. Jeff Green is 4,400. He's got 40-point upside. 5 out of his last 8 games, he's been at 24 fantasy points or better. And, you got Charlotte coming in here. They're 25th in defending against small forwards, allowing 27 fantasy points per game. They did give up to Mr. James 54 and to Mr. Kurucs of the Nets. They gave up 41. To the rookie there. So, again, there is an opportunity there for either Ariza. If you wanted to pay up 6,100, I would say throw in there a little bit of Jeff Green more so. He's 4,400. 4,400, and he's going to get some minutes. So he's definitely someone I'm considering. Other than that, you always got Davis Bertans if you want to come down a little bit lower. Sam Decker, these guys. Bunbury is definitely another guy that I was considering. I definitely have him in my radar. They're going up against Cleveland. Cleveland's been giving up 28 fantasy points per game to opposing small forwards. They gave up 38 recently to Kyle Anderson and 27 to Justin Holiday. And he's only 3,800. You only need 18 from him. So he's someone to consider. And you also got to always consider, Darius Miller now is with an illness. So if Miller is out, then definitely there's a bump here for Solomon Hill to get some minutes at 3,700. He can be a nice play here at that bare minimum kind of price range. And same thing with Gerald Green. He's been getting at least 20 minutes or more on average as of late. So he's someone to consider. Let's go with a power forward. And at power forward today, I gave him to you a couple of days ago. I will have exposure to Anthony Davis, which I've already mentioned a few times during this video. John Collins could be someone to consider here. Very interesting situation here with Atlanta. Atlanta has Dwayne Dedmon is probably not going to play today. They also have Alex Lynn. So you're going to probably find John Collins, and this is a perfect situation for John Collins to play the 5 spot today for Atlanta. But if it's not going to be John Collins, then you got to obviously consider Mr. Let me go over to the game to Alex Poitras. Alex Poitras could possibly come in here if he is good to go here. Or maybe even Spellman. One of these guys are probably going to play the 4, and Collins will probably move to the 5. So this may be an intriguing game to actually probably stack up today, because there's going to be some value there, knowing that you can get you can stack up any one of these 2 guys or one of these guys here, and can get value out of one of these 2. If we get word before the game, before lock, that that one of these guys is going to start, or Collins is going to be moved to center, and one of these guys is going to start at the 4, then there's going to be some value there. But keep that in mind, that maybe Mr. Poitras or possibly Collins will be playing the 4 or the 5 possibly today, because Dedmon, like I said, and Lynn are both not going to be available, I believe. So keep that in mind. All right, so anyway, power forward. So Collins is someone to consider there. Anthony Davis is in play. LaMarcus Aldridge is someone that I will probably have a little exposure to. I like the matchup against the Clippers and him playing mostly center at times for San Antonio. I think he falls in a good spot there with LA. The Clippers don't have a legitimate center. But I'm going to come down to Draymond Green again, 7,200. I know I gave him to you a couple of games ago, but he makes the best sense here, man, going up against Portland, 7,200. Now, again, I bypassed Tobias Harris. I definitely think Tobias Harris is in play, but we're going to come down to Green, and I'm just going to pencil him in a moment, averaging almost 8 points, 8 rebounds, pretty much 7 assists, and he's averaging pretty much 32 fantasy points per game at 7,200. You need 36. On DK, he is 6,700. You only need 33 there, and he's averaging 32. But 3 out of his last 4 games, he has played 30. He has put up 36 fantasy points or better. And as you can see, he's smacked in there 2 40-point games, and we know he has 50-point upside. All right, we come over to the cruncher, and we'll take a look at Mr. Green and Draymond. As you can see there again, 36 or better in 3 out of the last 4. I like the factors that his minutes are up. He's up at about 35, 36 minutes on average. His usage is slightly increasing, 19 and 20 in 2 out of the last 3 games. And he's starting to take a little bit more shots, probably 10 to 11 shots on average over the last 4 games. He's capable of hitting some threes. He's taken about 4 or 5 threes per game. And as you can see, we know for a fact he is a double-double or a triple-double almost any given night. He can get you rebounds. He can get you assists. And he brings the defense. Look at this. 1, 4, 8, 9. 9 steals over the course of the last 3 games with 2 blocks. The only problem is this. This is the biggest factor with him that kills him sometimes with minutes, and sometimes puts him in a position that he doesn't get as many minutes as he should, just due to the fact he gets into foul trouble. So if he could keep himself away from foul trouble, he was in foul trouble the other night, still put up 41 against his team. These teams are playing each other again. This is a home and home with a 1 day off in between. So back-to-back home games. Again, they're playing, Portland. I like the matchup for Draymond. I really do. Portland's coming in here. They are, as you can see, 19th in defending power forwards, and they've been giving up 28 fantasy points per game over the last 5 games to opposing power forwards. They did give up 41 to Green, and they gave up recently back-to-back games to Jaren Jackson, 33 and 31. Again, Draymond Green, a much better situation than Mr. Jackson. I do like Draymond Green here in this matchup today versus Portland. So we're going to pencil him in there. If you're going to look for any other possible plays at power forward, like I said, Aldridge is someone to consider. Tobias Harris, love the matchup, man. They're going up against San Antonio. They're 20th in defending power forwards. They've been giving up nearly 31 fantasy points per game over the course of the last few games. They did give up 33 to P.J. Tucker and 30 to Alex Gordon. Not so long ago at 7,500, you need 37. He has 50-point upside, so he's definitely someone to consider. Draymond Green is my next favorite guy. Like I already told you, Green is my favorite. Tobias Harris is my second. Obviously, I am all over Anthony Davis for a few lineups today. I think you got to take advantage of him as well. LaMarcus Aldridge, again, the LA Clippers, 29th in defending power forwards, one of the worst defending against power forwards this year. They've been giving up nearly 30 fantasy points per game. They did give up 37 to Kuzma, 38 to Bjelica, and 37 to Jeremy Grant, excuse me. So he's in a good position as well. Also has 50-point upside at 7,800. You need 38 from him. If you wanted to get some value, I do like the matchup for Marvin Williams versus Washington. I think I will have some exposure to him as being one of my lower price power forwards in my lineups today. It's going up against Washington. Washington is 7th in defending power forwards, but as of late, and then we have gotten word that there's not going to be no Markieff Morris. So Markieff Morris not in play. Definitely love Marvin Williams here to really light it up for 40 or better. He's going up against Washington. Washington has given up 37.6 fantasy points per game over the course of the last 5 games. They just recently gave up 48 to Blake Griffin, 54 to TJ Warren, and 35 to PJ Tucker. I do like Marvin Williams here. 5,700, you need 27, and he is capable of getting you 35, 40. So I think he is definitely a solid play. You could always consider Mr. Vanderlei of the Knicks against Utah, 6,100. You need 30 from him. Utah's coming in here 18th in defending power forwards, but they have been really, really good at defending them, only giving up 19 fantasy points over the last few games. There's only 2 players in the last 5 games that have put up at least 30 against them, and that was Jeremy Grant, who put up 31, and Mr. Aminu for Portland put up 31, which I think Vanderlei is just as good or better than those guys. So I think he is capable of definitely surprising some people there as well. So Noah Vanderlei is definitely in play. And you also got to consider Luke Cornett of the Knicks as well. 3,500 bare minimum price tag, only need 15. He's going up against Utah, same numbers, but again, he will probably play the center spot if he starts again, which he started the last game for the Knickerbockers and put up a very, very nice game, career numbers for him. So Luke Cornett is definitely someone I'm going to consider for that $3,500 price tag here on FanDuel. All right, let's go over to center. At center today, this was a little tricky for me, man. You know, to be honest with you, I mean, you definitely have to have some exposure to Jokic against Phoenix. They are vulnerable there. He is someone that I'll probably sprinkle in the lineup or two. I am concerned with the price tag because he's been, inconsistent. Clint Capella has been playing really well as of late. He's going up against New Orleans. You could consider that. That's definitely going to be a paced-up game. Good possible game. Could go in the 110, 115 range as far as scoring or better. So definitely someone to consider there as well. Rudy Gobert going up against the Knicks. He's definitely has had success against New York. Definitely someone to consider. Then you got Marc Gasol. So all the top 4 guys, I think they're all in very good position to do well. Boston's coming in here giving up the most fantasy points to centers. They've been giving up 36.6, well, not the most, second most, 36.6 fantasy points per game to opposing centers. They did get Al Horford back, but Al Horford has just given up 2 games in a row where he gave up huge numbers. He gave up 47 to Capella and 56 to Embiid while he has started. So, again, Gasol, I think, is in a good spot. I will have some exposure in him. But I'm going to come down to Nurkic against Golden State. He seems to be consistent. Good cash play for you cash play players. I think he still has enough upside for GPP as well, and solid. So even if he doesn't do well, he at least get us near that 40, which you need at 8,000. 14 points, 10 rebounds, 2.5 assists, pretty much 3 assists a game, 35.4 fantasy points per game. And at 8,000, you need 40 on DK 7,200. So you only need 36 to meet value there, which is about his average. And he's been at his average or better in 3 out of the last 4 games. As you can see here, 5 out of the last 6, he's been at 36 plus. And he has also had 3 40-point games during the course of that stretch with 50-point upside. So we definitely like him. I definitely like him in that aspect. You come over here, and let's take a look at him a little bit further on the Fantasy Cruncher. And as you can see, 43 numbers have not been great, but he's been pretty steady, pretty consistent. Minutes are there, 27 or better pretty much on average. His usage rate is at about 23% on average, but he's been a little down to 3 games out of the 4, but back up to 27% in the last game, and he's taking his shots. He's getting about 10, 11 shots pretty much per game. There are those moments where he can get a little bit more, like you're seeing here. He won a stretch where he was getting 15 to 12 to 15 shots. We know he's going to get rebounding. He's one of the top rebounders in the league. He's had 4 straight games in double-digit rebounding. He can get you some assists for a big man, and he's capable of defending. He'll get you some steals, and he'll get you the occasional 1 or 2 blocks a game. So he is going to be able to get us those additional fantasy point totals that we're looking for. Going up against Golden State, he did put 43 already this year and a 36, and he put up a 40 spot last year. Pretty consistent, 36 to 40 fantasy points. Like I said, definitely solid cash play here for your cash play players, but I definitely like him being a safe play also as a GPP. I think that he can possibly come up and put up a 45, 50 spot against these guys today. But again, there's a lot of opportunities here. A lot of options. Golden State Warriors 15th in defending centers, allowing 39.9 fantasy points per game over the last several games. They did give up 43 to Nurkic in their last outing, 39 to Zubac, and they did give up 55 to DeAndre Jordan 3 games ago. And those are the top 3 over the 5-game stretch. So I like his opportunity and his chances of here of at least getting 45 or better. So we're going to throw him in there. Again, there are other opportunities, like I have mentioned, at the center spot if you want to pay up. Also here, if you wanted to save some money, you could come down. Mason Plumlee, not in a bad situation against Phoenix, has been starting with Jokic sometimes playing the 4. Sometimes he's the 4. Nurkic is playing, Jokic is playing the 5. So they sometimes, it depends. Either one of the two would not be bad. But obviously, if you want to pay down and get paid $6,200, you can definitely get Mr. Plumlee here. Then you got Cody Zeller versus Washington. But I'm going to come down. I think this is a good play here. Thomas Bryant has been playing well, but again, he is on the front end of a back-to-back, so a little concerned there. But then again, he's a young guy, so he should be ready to go. Charlotte is 9th in defending centers this year, but they have been giving up 34 fantasy points as of late. They did give up 47 to Larry Nance, more of those athletic kind of centers. They also did give up 44 to Mr. Drummond. But Bryant has been playing really well, especially underneath the glass. So Thomas Bryant could be someone to consider here. And like I already mentioned, Lynn is questionable of playing. So is Dwayne Dedmon. If they're both out, then I would think that, Collins is probably going to move into the 5, so you could possibly consider John Collins in his matchup against Cleveland, considering that Cleveland has been playing with Larry Nance up front. So they'll match up even better. So for Atlanta, that game should be a very athletic, fast-paced game as well, with all those athletes on the court. So definitely have some exposure to those guys. Mahimi could be someone to consider other than Bryant. If you want to pay down, he at least gets 15 to as many as 20 minutes per game. And I think that's pretty much it, man. You could consider Okafor. He's been playing a little bit of minutes, but that's about it. I don't, again, I think those are the best plays. Again, any one of the guys on the top, I will not be mad at you at all. Like I said, Gobert going up against the Knicks, they've been giving up nearly 30 a game. They gave up 40 to Embiid, 36 to Ayton, and 37 to Turner. It is a big price tag for him. You need 45, and he's not, one that will get you 45 or better on a regular basis. I think still that Bryant, Gasol's a solid play, man, knowing that Boston has been giving up tons of fantasy points to the last two. Like I said, Capella 47 and Embiid 56. So I think Gasol's in a good spot. And I like Nurkic. And other than that, Dedmon would have been someone to consider. But again, now he is questionable to play. So that it is what it is, man. This is where we at, guys. So again, man, I gave you a bunch of names there, a couple possible plays. Keep on top of the injury news. If I change on any one of these players, I will definitely put it in the comment section of this actual video on YouTube later today before lock. But other than that, that's pretty much where I'm at. I hope you guys liked the video. Please drop a like. If you're new to the channel, first time here, hey, I hope you become a member. Come, be a subscriber. Make sure you do subscribe. Make sure you do put on your post notifications. This way you don't miss out on any of these videos when I upload them. And basically that's it, man. Wish you a lot of luck tonight, and I'll see you guys on the next video.